Call the meeting to order. All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call. Councilmember Fickman is absent. Approval of the agenda, we have one addition. 7H, authorized execution of easement agreement. Is there any other changes? Council have any? Okay, do I have a motion to approve the agenda with that addition?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Heidi, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Scott. Call the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. Bring your mic. Thank you. Approval of the minutes, June 4th, 2025, regular meeting minutes. They all received them in your packet. Is there any questions or corrections needed for those minutes? Hearing nothing, do I have a motion to approve the June 4th, 2025 regular meeting minutes?
So moved.
Motion by Brad, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Heidi. Last minute discussion. Call the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. Public open forum. Is there anyone here that would like to speak to the council? Is there anyone here that would like to speak to the council? Call a third time. Is there anyone that would like to speak to the council? Public open forum is now closed. We have 2 public hearings. We will recess the regular council meeting and enter into our public hearing. We have 2 public hearings before us this evening in accordance with the official mailed and public notice in the matter of public hearing to consider issuance of abatement bonds and public hearing to consider issuance of CIP bonds. It is our intention that everyone has the opportunity to be heard. If you wish to speak, please sign in on the sign-up sheet at the back of the room. The procedure is as follows. Presentation by staff followed by questions of staff, then public input. Raise your hand. When recognized by the mayor, approach the podium and state your name and address for the record. State your comments and position. No one will be allowed to speak a second time until everyone has had a chance to be heard. First, we will hear questions for clarification. Second, public in favor. Third, public in speaking against the proposals. After everyone who wishes to speak has had an opportunity to be heard, the hearing will be closed. After closure of the public hearing, the council will deliberate and take action as appropriate. Members of the audience do not participate in the council's discussion unless a majority of the council concedes to hear additional information or questions. The hearing is now in session.
Okay, this is the first part of the hearings tonight is the part about the abatement bonds. As you know, you called for the public hearing for tonight. George Eilertson from Northland Security is here. He's going to explain the process to you. Just to remind you, because I think 2 of you weren't here when we started this whole process, but the 2025A bonds have 3 components. The first component is the abatement bond, and that covers the Civic Arena and the Senior Center. Then you have the CIP bonds, which cover the City Hall and the library, and then the improvement bond, which is the street project. The reason it's broken into 3 parts is because we have statutory authority to borrow essentially money, and these are the 3 different avenues to borrow money for the different purposes that we have. Just so that's why it's structured the way it is. So the first part is a public hearing on the abatement. The second part is the public hearing on the CIP bonds. And I'm going to turn it over to George. He's going to be able to explain how that's broken down, why it's broken down, and what the procedure is going forward on that.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. George Eilertson, Northland Securities. Your city administrator did a terrific and very thorough job there of explaining the bond issue and what the various projects are for. So some of this might sound like a recap to what Vicki just stated. But as noted, And I will say that it's, this is a very efficient financing that's being put together from a cost of issuance perspective, because sometimes municipalities break this apart and do, for sure, two different bonds. Maybe they would do the street project as a separate financing, and then these abatement and capital improvement bonds separately. So we looked at that, Vicki and I certainly looked at that option, and then weighed cost of issuance versus the potential savings there versus the efficiency of having, two separate bonds from a tracking standpoint administratively. So it was decided that it makes sense to put this all together, and I concur with that, one rating call with one rating fee, pay the attorney once as opposed to twice. So as noted, this public hearing that you're in right now for the abatement portion is as noted for the arena and senior center. And so those are two financing projects or financing needs that you have, city-owned entities, but not falling under what's called capital improvement plan bonds, which is your next public hearing. Capital improvement plan bonds is for more kind of essential city buildings. I'm from the Iron Range, and an ice arena is essential, so I'm not sure why they would say that. But so abatement bonds, we had to go through a couple steps working with Vicki, identifying parcels in the city that had to add up their city portion of taxes would match up with the debt service on these bonds. Nobody is being treated differently on when we say abatement. Nobody's taxes are being abated. For example, we have to identify parcels in a property notice or a notice that goes in the paper. Essentially, what this is doing for the city's project here is it gives you the ability to lift your levy to pay debt service on the bonds. Abatement certainly is more of an economic development tool, and it oftentimes is used to help a business expand or do a project that they may otherwise not be able to do. But cities can also use it for these types of projects, senior centers, arenas, green space type projects, et cetera. So we'll talk a little bit more as well about how this bond is structured, the entire bond is structured, if you will. Each portion can be financed with a separate term. Now, what we're doing on the capital improvement portion and the abatement portion here is having a 10-year term. The street project will have a longer term. That's a bigger project, assessments, bigger levy portion as well. So that one will have a longer term. But so within the one general obligation bond, we have these three purposes. The first being the abatement. And so tonight, the public hearing, You've called for this, you put notice in the paper, called for this hearing. This is a very straightforward process. Tonight, there's a resolution for you to consider that approves the abatement. You could actually issue the debt after that. We're not doing that tonight, but there's no waiting period with an abatement bond. You just approve it tonight, and then the financing can be done when your project is ready. So that's the mechanics of how the abatement process works. I can address any questions, Mayor, you or the council may have.
Any questions? Okay, so far so good.
All right.
Yeah, you might as well do that.
Okay. Same public hearing, Mayor?
Yep.
Okay. All right, so the capital improvement plan portion then, as I noted, this is more for public safety, public works, city halls. That's what you oftentimes see municipalities issuing this type of debt for. So there was a capital improvement plan put together. It's available for review for the public. Vicki and I worked together on that. It has to highlight what are the projects being financed. So the improvements to the library, the improvements to City Hall here, flooring, roofing, air handling, those types of improvements. So that's all noted within that plan, and then you hold this public hearing and then you allow a certain period of time for public comment. Again, this portion, and I should note, and I could talk about it later too, but maybe to backtrack just briefly, and I apologize about this, the resolution you'll eventually consider for the abatement portion has a not to exceed $600,000 amount in it. We generally are close to that, a little bit less, but we won't be exceeding the 600,000. For the capital improvement plan portion, it's a not to exceed amount of $750,000. So again, that's at the next part of your overall council agenda. But again, for the capital improvement plan portion, it's consider the resolution and then there's a public comment period. And then both projects would be financed together with the 2025 street and utility project, the Birch and Pine project, on July 30th. So that's a special meeting, as you are, I'm sure, aware of, a special meeting at 5 p.m. for that financing. Any questions, Mayor or Council, on the capital improvement plan portion?
Questions?
I should note, when you made some improvements to this building back in 2017, I think it was? Okay. Well, no, originally this building was financed.
It was a different financing,
Yes.
and we switched the financing to this type saves interest.
We refinanced a lease financing. My apologies, Council. Originally a lease financing, refinanced it with this capital improvement plan bond, going from a non-general obligation to a general obligation. So testing both, and I could be in my memory here. So, but that is the overview of the abatement and capital improvement plan portions. If no other questions, Mayor.
Okay. No questions?
No.
Okay. Thank you. With that, we'll go to public. Is there anyone here that wants to speak in favor or against or needs clarification on both of those items, the public hearings, the abatement or the CIP? Is there anyone here that wants to speak in favor or against or needs clarification for both items? Call a third time. Is there anyone here that wants to speak in favor or against or needs clarification on neither one of those items? Hearing nothing, is there any last minute questions or concerns from the council? Okay, then our public hearing is done and we will move back into our regular council meeting. 6, reports and presentations. Police Department.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I got the main numbers here that you can see. Kind of like we expected this time of year, May, June, July, the numbers will bounce up. Just with all the extra people in town, nicer out, we're a little bit more proactive. Some of the higher numbers you'll see are the medical emergencies, 31 of those. 250 patrols, handful of disputes, 5 crashes. 4 of those were in private property, so they weren't on the roadways. Yeah, nothing crazy. It was just kind of a steady, but nothing out of the ordinary. 10 assist agencies, those were Stearns County, 1 from Melrose. 26 personal assist calls, those were anything from, a lot of those were a lot of the scams where we go to people's houses, talk to them about the scam calls or scam mail they're getting. And then some of those also got lift assists were in there too. So I got mixed in there. So 1,014 for the total numbers for that month. Over the last couple of weeks too, we did do our annual firearms qualification. We had about half of it done, then we got rained out, so we'll probably, now that the mosquitoes are getting bad at that range, we'll probably do the last half sometime in September. They did finally come and pick up that 2025 squad after a long time sitting in the garage and then making promises not getting it, so that's getting upfitted now, so I'm hoping it's back in the the city next week, so we'll see what happens with that. Traffic has been busy. Over the last 2 weeks now, we've had 5 good crashes on Main Street. All speed and hands-free or distracted driving related, basically. 2 of those cars were totaled for sure because of the 2 of them. So we're gonna try to keep up on that as far as the Main Street, get that speed down on Main Street. A lot of it's out of town traffic, just people going to the lake and stuff. That's a lot of it. Local folks are driving pretty good. It's just, you get people coming up on vacation and then they're not paying attention. So, yeah, we're gonna keep watching that. Our guys are doing good out there. They're being proactive. They're out doing what they're supposed to, so our guys are doing good. Any questions?
Questions?
I have one question. Speaking about hands-free, I heard something about a new law, no touch.
Yes. You have that phone in your hand, you
Okay.
get pulled over.
How can that be seen, or what is like the process of that?
Like for us, so people make it pretty easy.
I
Most have it
imagine.
up to the ear. Officer Mormon Jungles, they've been writing in their reports that people are holding it like a pizza.
Okay,
So when they're driving by, they're seeing this, so I'm like, what do you guys mean by pizza? And they're like, okay, that makes sense. So they're seeing a lot of that. Like,
okay,
I thought it would kind of slow down, but it's the distracted driving thing with the phones and stuff. I thought when they issued that law, maybe people would, you can just sit on Main Street yourself and see it, people are nonstop on their phone.
Yeah.
And then just increase speed, like it gets warm like this and people are speeding and then get distracted. So we're trying to educate as much as possible, trying to be fair about it, writing some tickets and giving some warnings. It's just, hopefully people catch on. It's just, what makes us nervous is, it's nice out now, people are on those phones, and we got kids on bikes, we got these golf carts going around, we got these e-bikes, we have been getting a few e-bike complaints. We're trying to educate that. I mean, the e-bikes, any bicycle, including e-bike, has to follow the same traffic laws. So like when you see some of these e-bikes or e-scooters go on against traffic, it's illegal. So we're not giving tickets, we're just trying to educate, because we are getting some complaints about, I mean, some of those e-bikes go 30 miles an hour. You know, so like we're trying to educate on that, and we're just trying to slow people down, and people to pay attention. Because like that's our biggest fear is, dang Main Street. I mean, you try it like Friday afternoons, you try to make a left-hand turn on Main Street, good luck. You know, like,
Yeah.
so we're aware of some of the complaints. I've been getting quite a few phone calls about some of the driving behavior, not just Main Street, some of the side streets too, with kids driving fast. And so we're just trying to make sure that we're getting people to slow down so no one gets hurt.
With the e-bikes, are they required to have a motorcycle license?
Nope. So, well.
Some
no.
states have got it, I know,
Yeah,
so
so
I was just
like-
wondering.
So like the e-bikes, there's some tricky language in there. So like the e-bikes, if they're 750 watts and under, they still classify as a bicycle. If they're over 750 watts, there's a couple different rules they have to follow. The tricky thing is like if we stop someone on an e-bike, unless it says the watts on there, we don't know what the wattage is on those bikes. So
Right.
our thing is just, we're just trying to educate, like, use them, but use them safe and don't do 30 down Main Street.
Yeah.
You know, because if a Central Buy truck hits one, you can tell you who's gonna win,
right.
with an e-bike. And same thing with some of these golf carts. We've been stopping a few of the golf carts, educating that too. We've had a few folks taking them right down Main Street.
Yeah.
And that's just not, we can't have that, because like, there's just not the proper lighting, and they just don't move quick enough if they had to move quick, so. A lot of education early summer, that's kind of what we're trying to get the point across, is just be smart, and just don't cause a crash, please.
Any other questions? Keep up the good work. Thank you. Public Works Department, Ben?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This past month, our new 1-ton truck that we got last fall, there was an issue with the hydraulic system, so that went back down to the manufacturer to get some warranty work done on it. They ended up replacing all of the hydraulics on the dump bed, so that's back with us now and working like it's supposed to, so that's good. The Park Lane Hendricks Street Full Depth Reclamation Project, I talked to the contractor last week. They have us tentatively for early August, so subject to change, but that's what we're looking at right now for that project to get going. We did complete all the first pass across all the roads with patching. We do have some touch-up areas that we'll be getting after the rest of this summer here. Storm sewer catch basins and our storm water sand trap devices, we cleaned all of those. We've got several catch basins that are on our list that were identified that need some repairs to be done, so that'll be coming up in the next few weeks. Gravel roads continue to get bladed. With all the rain, this causes a lot of washouts and a lot of issues for us. 10th Street is especially bad with that poor subsoil up there. It gets beat on really quickly, and there's a lot of traffic. So we try to keep up on it, but it gets wrecked pretty fast. So we're keeping up on those. The arena, we did all the demo of the rubber floors and the tile in the locker rooms. We did paint all the locker rooms as well, so that's new and fresh. The flooring contractor is planning to start install next week, so they'll do the tile first, get done with all that, and then they'll put the rubber down. And then once the rubber's down, we can go back up and put everything back together that we took apart for the project. So that's moving along well. Roof project is going on at the arena right now, moving along as expected. Rain's causing them some delays certainly, but they're hopeful to be finished early next week with that project. So they're over halfway across the roof now and haven't ran into any major surprises up there at all, so it's going well for them. The rubber roof here at City Hall, that was completed. We did have a little leak last Friday. We had like 2 inches of rain. It was leaking right between the PD and the fire hall. And part of that issue was they weren't done doing all the flashing and the caulking. They had the rubber down, but the flashing guys is a different crew. So they were here this week. They finished up all the flashing and the caulking. So we haven't had a good rain to test that that's all repaired, but we'll certainly be watching that. And the roofing contractor is aware of it, so they want to make sure we don't have issues either. So it'll be remedied if we find anything else there. But otherwise, the roofs are all done here at City Hall. Campground, cabin 1 is completed and being used and rented at this time, and cabin 2 we've got on site and planning to get that finished over the next 2 weeks. So our plan is to have it open for the 4th of July. Most of the work I think is going to be done next week, but we'll probably have a few wrap-up things the following week right before the 4th. We did have a water heater with some heating issues. We replaced some parts in that, and then our tent site bathrooms had some sewer line backups that were going on. We did find a bad section of pipes that was removed and replaced, and everything's working good there. Trail project, the contractor has moved some equipment in. They're gonna get going on that possibly late this week, Friday, but likely next week. They'll be milling up the Wobegon Spur Trail first, and then they'll be doing all that subcutting on the other parks that need subcutting and Class 5 hauled in for the paving to happen. So they might start paving next week. It kind of depends how everything goes for them, but we did get the sidewalk removed along Park Road and got the Class 5 put in, so that's all prepped and ready for them. Had to pour a little concrete there for some new aprons, so that's all ready to go. It's in the contractor's hands now, so they'll be after that. Splash pad, everything's been working good there. No major issues with the splash pad or the mechanicals or anything. Still got some kids that are just doing some dumb stuff down there. Nothing major. They're not causing like major damage yet, but you know, they're plugging drains and sinks, leaving water on, doing kind of little stuff like that, throwing paper towels on the ceiling, just things like that. So making a mess more than anything, not wrecking anything, but hopefully that can end soon. And then the schoolhouse electrical, I did get an estimated cost to do the electric from the pole to the schoolhouse and then to put 2 outlets along the east wall of the main room inside. So that would be about $2,000. And then with that, we would have a $32 a month meter charge from the PUC. So I would just need some direction from you guys if that's something you want to move forward with or not. But there is, like I said, there is the outlet there. It works. It's GFI protected, so if it would quit working, you can just push the button and reset it. You need about a 50-foot extension cord to get it into the building. But
Okay,
any questions I can answer?
questions, concerns?
I have one question in regards to, are we doing any seal coating on any of our city streets this year?
No seal coating this year. We're doing
None?
the full depth reclamation project instead.
Okay.
Yep.
We kind of alternate
It's kind
Years.
of every other.
on the seal coat and the reclaim.
What seal coating did you do last year? Just curious, 2024.
Let me think about where we were last year. I'm drawing a blank on that.
That's all right.
I have to look at my map.
That's all right.
I am too.
It's been a busy week.
It's all good.
We did part of Elm Street and Getty Street, all that stuff we paved in 2022.
Gotcha, okay.
And we finished up some stuff for the hospital that we were waiting on with the nursing home projects that got done.
Thanks.
This might be more of a utilities question instead of you, but CenterPoint's putting all those new lines on Ash Street, and they tore up a lot of sidewalk and a lot of our handicapped corners and stuff like that to
Yep.
do their boring. Is it you that's on top of that, make sure that they replace all that?
Yeah, for sure. And they
Okay.
actually just did stuff out here for City Hall too, and they got that all replaced like it's supposed to be, so.
They're not real fast at it. They just got mine completed and just seeded it today, which was 2 months ago that they ripped everything up and poured concrete about 2 weeks ago. So
Okay.
it takes them a month to,
It-
I think they have to get enough work together to make it
Right,
worthwhile.
they
to
send a
get-
crew in to come do a bunch of cleanup at once, because they're kind of out of the cities mostly.
Because with our large project, we got enough tore up without them coming in and tearing up more stuff and then
Yeah.
letting it sit for 6 months. So, okay, just so we're on top of it.
Yep.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Planning Commission report.
Good evening. In your packet, you have a copy of the agenda. We did have one public hearing for a variance, which is an action item a little later on your agenda. You have a copy of the summary. For the month of May, 15 permits were issued with a total construction value of $830,000. A year ago, 22 permits were issued with a total construction value of $1.2 million. The little chart of zoning permits, and I did hand out the building permits to you. And then I do have some of the nuisance complaints. And I have, if you want them by date, so like the inspection date was like January 1st, that has been completed. February 21st, I had a complaint, went out to check that it was irrelevant. To February 26th, it was in compliance at the time of inspection. Another one in 2/26, complete. 3/14, I did an inspection, and I sent out a certified letter on March 19th, and that is in progress. I have 3 from the month of May that have been sent to the city attorney. 5/27, I have an abatement plan in place. 6/4, an inspection, but that's a low priority. 6/9 is complete. I have inspections from 6/14, there was 4 of them, and I sent out certified letters on June 16th, and another inspection on the 14th of June, and at that time it was in compliance. And I have one more that I need to inspect, things that have come in. So there's like 17, 3 are complete, 2 were in compliance at the time of inspection, 5 are in progress, 1 abatement plan, 3 have gone to the attorney, 1 was irrelevant, 1 is a low priority, and need to inspect 1. So any questions about that?
Okay, questions, concerns? Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
CVB report.
Well, we met briefly last week, but we spent a lot of our time getting to know the new CVB director, Sarah, and she seems like she's going to be a fantastic fit. She's comes with a lot of experience, comes from the Glenwood area, however, lives in the Greenwald area, so she's pretty delighted to be in Sauk Center, obviously. Has a tremendous amount of background in social media, kind of connecting in that arena. And so I think, that'll definitely be an improvement. Certainly recognized Pam and had, sent her off with a thank you and, 10 years of, in my opinion, fantastic work and a lot of giving to the community. And she's hopefully enjoying retirement, I think, for the second or third time. She has done a lot of things for a long time. So But in regards to financials, they're consistent, they're stable. They still continue to, bring up the comments and thoughts about we sure could use another hotel. I mean, I think there's no doubt, but, we're not, we're not hotel builders, but we certainly, I don't think there's any doubt there's a need for that. And that'll just come in, I guess, in time or whenever someone's, feels the desire to build here, but certainly worth promoting. So I guess just really a kind of a good overview, get to know the new director. I think she's gonna do great. I'd ask if you guys ever are interested in meeting her, stop in. She's just very, very open to getting to know the city and the council and everybody, so. That's what I got.
Okay.
Questions?
Only question is, you mentioned you didn't think we needed it.
What's
What do
that?
you mean on the hotel or going into the hotel?
Say that?
Well, you mentioned something about the hotel and I just kind of went, and you said, I don't really think we needed it.
No, we
Yeah.
we definitely
All right.
need more
I
hotels.
misunderstood.
Yes.
Okay. I was just-
Definitely want to
You
get more
kind of threw
hotels.
me. I was like, what?
No.
So I just wanted clarification on that.
Yes.
Okay. All right, then we will move on to the city engineer report, which is,
I got a couple things.
the new key.
Acting city engineer. Well, actually, just a couple of things. You should keep asking about the South Industrial Park, that repair. And Mark Lee will be in town. He's doing one of our projects. He plans on doing that at the same time. I think Ben just mentioned August would probably be when that would happen. So we're keeping an eye on it. It's not going anywhere, and we'll get that repaired. On the 2025 CIP, the Birch and Pine project, I know you all been watching it, but the street work on phase 1 goes back to phase 1 for the street work, meaning putting in the street, putting in the curb, rebuilding it. That has started. If you notice that that's from 5th to 8th and Main to Ash, so it's a pretty good chunk. The curb and gutter is in on 6th. If you've been by there to see that, looks very nice. Now it gives you an idea of what the elevation of the road were. It always looks the most ugly just before you put that in, so people start getting panicky that the road is going to be really low. And then when they see it, then they calm back down again. So we've been having really good luck. People have been calling in if they have concerns or complaints. We get that routed through. The foreman on site has been very responsive. We're very happy with that. Centerpoint work is ongoing. You know that. You've seen all the work they've done, all the tearing up they're doing. I mean, they're taking advantage of our project in order to get their project in. So it'll be painful for a little while, and then they'll be out of there. They've got that, as you know, the work at the 8th and Ash intersection. We're taking our big pipe and putting it into a little pipe at that location. And that'll be opened up. We're trying to get it done as fast as we can. I put out the postcard for 3 days. I don't think we'll need those full 3 days to get it done. One thing on Canna Avenue, we kind of briefly mentioned it to the council in the EDA report. The EDA had asked the city engineer to kind of design what that would look like going into the 42 acres by Walmart. Canna Avenue is a platted road off of 12th Street, and so he's going to have some kind of plans and designs, hopefully to the EDA on the July 2nd meeting, and then come back to the council to see if we want to do that. If we do, I'm meeting with the developer on Monday, and so that's one of the subjects that we'll have on how we want to do that. If we can cost share part of that, what we should do. We haven't technically put a lot of economic development resources into that project other than trying to get like Tractor Supply in there and everything, but as far as economic development, haven't expended a lot of funds there, and so the EDA thought that might be a way to help spur that growth down there. If we decide to do that, I think the most cost-efficient way would probably do a change order and just add it to our existing project and pay with EDA funds. That way, we don't have mobilization fees and all of those costs that would go into a new contractor. So that's where we're at with things that the city engineer is working at. And if you have any questions, feel free to let me know. I can reach out to him and get answers for you.
Questions? Concerns? Okay, we'll move on to action items. 7A, approve municipal advisory agreement with Northland.
So with each bond issue or other financial advisory issue the city entertains, we get outside expert advice, which is George over here that you've met tonight. We have a municipal advisory agreement for that. So this is the municipal advisory agreement for the 2025 bond issue. And then they provide us the guidance all the way to getting the money in the bank. So we're looking to authorize the execution of that agreement with Northland Securities.
Questions, concerns? Otherwise, I'll look for a motion to authorize the execution.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Scott. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Brad. Last minute discussion. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. 7B, approve resolution 2025-53, approving issuance of abatement bonds.
And this resolution approves those property tax abatements for the first portion of the bond issue, which is for the Civic Arena and the Senior Center. And this is by resolution 2025-53.
Questions, concerns? Otherwise, do I have a motion to approve resolution 2025-53?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Heidi. Do I have a second?
Second.
Scott, sorry.
That's fine.
Scott seconded it. Any other last minute questions? Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. 7C, approve resolution 2025-54, approving issuance of CIP bonds.
And this portion of the bond is for the City Hall and the library. So this is the approving the preliminary issuance of those bonds and the adoption of a CIP plan. This is the one that has the comment period on it. That's resolution 2025-54.
Questions, concerns? Otherwise, do I have a motion to approve resolution 2025-54?
So,
Motion by Brad. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Heidi. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. 7D, approve resolution 2025-55, approving negotiated issuance of GO bonds.
And this is the balance of the issuance of the bonds. It's the competitive negotiated sale of the GO bonds. The sale we'll be accepting the bids until July 30th at 10:30, and then bring it to the city council that same day at 5 PM in a special meeting. So this is a resolution 2025-55.
Questions or concerns? Otherwise, do I have a motion to approve resolution 2025-55?
So moved.
Motion by Heidi. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Brad. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. 7E, approve resolution 2025-49, approving variance from driveway standards.
So at the meeting on June 4th, the council held a public hearing to consider the application of RLF Holdings for a curb cut or driveway within the road right-of-way that's wider than the official controls. The allowed width is 36 feet. The request was for up to 50 feet, with the current driveway at 28. The city council had questions of the applicant, who was not in attendance, and the request was tabled, and we requested them to attend here, and he was going to, I think Max was going to be here, but then Christie responded by email. So she responded by email, and I gave that to you. She has amended her request from 50 feet down to 40 feet, and so that is 10 feet more or less than she'd originally planned for, or only 4 feet wider than the city code allows. She talks about truck traffic during Christie K Organics busy season, which is September to Thanksgiving, and February to Mother's Day. They have 1 to 4 trucks per day for loading and unloading. During the summer for custom packaging, it's about 1 to 2 days a week, and the packages get shipped out across the country. And she has maneuvering issues with this, because while the trucks back in from the blind side, they say they struggle. And so they're just trying to get a wider access. And also the traffic, they said they rarely block traffic, however it does occur. And then also when they have other people coming into the business and the trucks are parked in the driveway, it just causes them complications. And so she's looking to widen their driveway and their curb cut to 40 feet to allow that two-way traffic and to allow room for the trucks to maneuver in for unloading. I gave you the full email. You certainly had a chance to read that, but that's kind of a summary of it. And so I think that kind of answered the questions that you had at the last council meeting. And at this point, I guess it's up to you to approve Resolution 2025-49, granting the variance to them at the 40 feet. I guess that's what their amended request is for. Or, of course, you can not approve it. I guess it's your other option, so.
Okay, questions? Comments?
I have one, where it says we have, the current approximate width is 28 feet, and she's stating it's 34 to 35 feet wide currently.
I understand that she said that, but I measured it.
It's 28,
So-
so it's not the 5 feet that they're asking for additional 12.
No,
But it's still only 4 feet more
Yeah.
than what we would allow by code. We allow
Correct.
36.
Okay, I just seen the two different numbers there, that didn't make a lot of sense.
so in a sense, I mean, I'm sure we've all had a chance to get by there since we've tabled it, but I guess I'm in support of, allowing them that extra 4 feet, if that can make their business more efficient, allow their customers and clients to come in for their other businesses that they currently house out of that same building. I think it's, to me, I think it should be granted, just my opinion.
Okay,
I would agree, just thinking about the general traffic in that area, the majority being truck traffic. This area is used to having and needing the space to accommodate. So if we can help that business, I think it's a benefit to all.
okay, so they've got 28 feet now. And if we grant it, we will be granting them a 12-foot variance.
Which is 4 feet more than 36.
4-foot variance.
You're giving them a 4
They
foot.
can automatically get 36.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we're just giving them a 4-foot variance from
Right.
36 to 40.
Okay. What I'm looking at is, can't they just make it a 36, which would be code, and they wouldn't have to have a variance, and we wouldn't have to vote on it? Because 4 feet for a semi isn't that much.
I feel like if it means that much to them to apply for the variance and go through this process, it must mean something. I mean, they're seeing the benefit at some point. I'm not a truck driver to know, but I can just feel their pain.
I think it's, if, again, I agree with Heidi, if they feel that 4 feet will make a positive impact to their business, it is an industrial park, it's a business area, I think I would support that.
Okay? Any other comments, concerns?
If we do, just on the resolution on the next page, it still has a 50-foot curb cut in there, that we just need to make sure that we do get that changed to 40, so that they're not expecting a 50-foot.
Right.
Where it says whereas, the third one, or fourth one, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we'll change that to 40,
Okay.
to whatever amount you approve.
Okay, well, do I have a motion, one way or the other?
That is actually a good point, because it says it both in the description and in the variance request. So is it 50 or is it 40?
She's
40.
asking, well, the variance application was originally 50. It was her email amended it to 40.
Okay,
This resolution was pulled forward from last meeting.
okay.
So whatever gets approved will be put in that resolution.
Okay. Do I have a motion either way?
I'll make a motion to approve the variance of 4 foot wider variance for RLF Holdings per request.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Heidi. Any other concerns, discussion? Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. Motion carries 3 in favor, 1 against. 7F, approve resolution 2025-56, approving variance allowing accessory structure.
Mr. Mayor, I'll remove myself from the council for this discussion since I am the applicant.
The Planning Commission at its June 10th meeting, acting as the Board of Adjustment, conducted a public hearing to consider the application of the Kirkhoff Family Revocable Living Trust for variance from the city code relating to accessory structures. The property is located at 807 Lakeshore Drive and includes 3 lots that have been combined into one parcel. The request is for a variance to allow the construction of a 1,400 square foot detached garage where the maximum detached garage size is 1,200 square feet. This includes total cumulative square feet of detached and attached garage of 2,209, where 1,800 is allowed. So I'll take the detached portion, add it to what's already attached to the house, and you got a grand total of 2,209, where 1,800 feet is allowed. In addition, a variance from the maximum number of accessory buildings on a parcel is requested for the detached garage. There are two existing accessory structures, the boathouse and the cabin. When adding the proposed garage, there'll be a total of 3, where the maximum allowed is 2. The Planning Commission recommends that the variance be granted to allow the construction of the 1,400 square foot detached garage. So that's what you have in front of you tonight. Resolution 2025-56, granting the variances to the Kirkhoff Family Revocable Living Trust to allow the construction of a 1,400 square foot detached garage.
Questions? Concerns? There was no request for sideline or front setback for those variances, strictly whether or not they could have a third building instead of 2, because they've already got 2, which would be a variance. And then the square footage of the garage, which placement of the garage hasn't been determined totally yet, the way I understand it, because if you look at the map on there, it says Lake Shore Drive. That has got to be, what's the word for it again? Vacated. And then he will gain that much more property. There's a lot of properties along Lake Shore Drive that have this vacation that needs to happen, but until they do a survey and come in and request it, it'll be a while on most of them, because most of them aren't going to pay for a survey. So, is there any questions or concerns on granting the variances? If not, do I have a motion to approve the resolution 2025-56 granting the variances?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Scott. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Heidi. Last minute discussion. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 3 in favor, 1 against.
One
Okay.
against?
One
Or
abstention.
1 abstain, well, there wouldn't even be 1 abstention.
Just 3 in favor.
He removed himself, so it's 3 in favor, 0 against. Well, I go with 4, then I go to 3. Come on now.
That doesn't happen very often.
Yeah, it doesn't happen very often, is right. Okay, moving on, approved maintenance agreement rooftop air handling unit.
So Ellingson Plumbing, Heating, Air Conditioning, and Electrical has submitted a proposal for the ongoing maintenance and operation of the new rooftop air handling unit at City Hall. The proposal includes spring and fall scheduled maintenance inspections, including changing filters, flushing, testing, and inspecting the unit. The proposal is payable semi-annually for a total of $1,078 per year. We did have a prior agreement with Widener's since the building was constructed. And they were the original installer on the old unit, and we had a maintenance contract in the spring and fall with them as well. So what we're looking to is approve the maintenance agreement for the rooftop air handling unit with Ellingson's for $1,078 per year.
Questions?
Is that comparable to what we had with Widener's?
Actually, it's less.
Oh.
Our Widener's one was like $1,578.
Okay.
And the scope is relatively the same or
same.
better?
Yeah, they do the same types of things, testing,
Okay.
inspections, and filters, and updates, and there's a lot of computer things that happen with that. They come in and check all the VAVs inside the unit and, just check and make sure everything's running optimally.
Okay, and this is only for 1 year, and each year we renew it?
It's a renewable contract. It just automatically renews unless we cancel it.
Okay,
Does that ensure a warranty of any sort, or it's required
We
to
have a
keep?
warranty on the existing install. This is just an ongoing maintenance contract.
Okay.
So if we have, like, something happens to the unit that's still under warranty, that's a warranty
Sure.
issue separate from this.
how long a warranty do we have on that?
You know, I don't know the answer to
I
that
seen
question.
Ben left
I know.
otherwise.
Yeah, did he sky?
Because the reason why I was like, are we wasting our money with a maintenance agreement for something that should be under warranty for so long? And then when it gets to that point, to the end of the warranty, then we can do a maintenance agreement? The price might be
This is
different.
preventative maintenance.
Yeah.
Right,
Instead of waiting for it to break,
right.
you know, so
Well, if it breaks now, it'd be under warranty.
we don't want it to break. We want to prevent it from breaking.
I think service warranties are, are common, but I hear you're saying too, it's brand new, so it's hard to.
Brand new.
It's hard to
You know, it's like
justify,
if you
but-
buy
Like doing
a-
an oil change on your vehicle
Right.
and
Yeah,
rotating
So-
tires, that's pretty much what it is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
It's just you're
but you don't need a
flushing it every
maintenance
year so
agreement
it
to do
doesn't
that.
corrode and replace the filters so it doesn't clog and all that other stuff. So it's,
And when they change out these filters, that's our cost up and above yet.
No, the
Not-
no,
filters
that's
are,
provided.
That's provided?
Yeah.
the filters are provided, yeah.
Okay. Because I just seen, what is there,
It says right here,
12
Ellingson.
of them?
It says materials provided by Ellingson on page 80 is filters.
Okay,
Yeah, right there, materials provided.
okay. I'm one that's never jumped on a service agreement for anything, because if they build it right and they install it right, you shouldn't have an issue. I do that with my own vehicles.
I still pay health insurance just to make sure I'm covered if nothing, if something happens, so.
What we have found in the prior years with our units, like the filter clogs, like when the cottonwoods let go and that type of thing, we get, it's an efficiency of the unit to get the filters changed, I guess. And that's probably, I'm not saying that we can't do it. I can't speak for Ben, because that's kind of a complicated unit up there on the roof. But
Right.
Right. Okay, well, what is the council's wishes?
I'm gonna make a motion to approve the agreement with Ellingson's for the rooftop, air handling unit, excuse me.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Brad. Any last minute discussion? Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right,
Opposed? Aye. Motion carries 3 in favor, 1 against. 7H, authorize execution of easement agreement.
So Sauk Center Public Utilities is requesting that the city execute an easement agreement between the city and the owners of property at 621 Birch Street South, whereby a 10-foot by 10-foot easement at the southeast corner of the property along the alley is granted for utility purposes, allowing the installation of an electrical transformer box. This box is necessary to accomplish the underground installation of the city electrical lines currently in the alley. So that's what we're looking for, is to authorize the mayor and the city administrator to execute this easement agreement.
Everybody kind of know where that location is? It's one lot off of 7th Street.
And I'm assuming that's been discussed with the property owner and.
Yeah, everything's been
Everybody's good.
negotiated through
The property owners already executed their side.
They did, okay, thank
The
you.
PUC took care of everything, but since,
Yep. All right, thank you.
so. Do I have a motion to authorize the mayor and the city administrator to execute the agreement?
So moved.
Motion by Brad, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Heidi. Last minute discussion? Call the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. We have no unfinished business, we have no new business. That brings us to our consent agenda. We have schedule of claims of $96,626.11 for a total of the same. Pay checks, paid claims, and payroll of $1,356,985.83. We also have a request from Scott Kowski representing the American Legion Post 67 to amend the one temporary, I take that's 1 day, temporary outstate extension of outdoor liquor permits for the term of 1 day from October 4th, 2025 to September 27th, 2025. What?
amending it from the 4th to the 27th.
Okay,
It was already approved for the 4th. We're amending it to the 27th.
okay.
Prior.
That's where it doesn't say that, so.
It
We're-
says from October
From
4th
to.
to the
All right,
27th.
okay. 4A 5K run in their north parking lot from noon to 10 PM. Also would like permission to block off Park Road from the boat landing to Main Street. So, does everybody understand that? Yep. Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Heidi. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Brad. Any other discussion? Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Aye.
Motion carries 3 in favor, none against, 1 abstention. Informational items.
So I have a couple, you have your charter lineup changes, and then also Stearns County is going to conduct a second cleanup time for hazardous household waste. And so that is going to be Wednesday, August 20th, from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the Civic Arena. One thing they wanted us to note is they have some non-acceptable products. And so the business waste, I think, is one of the things that was added to that list at this time. But they still will take all your paints, your cleaners, roofing tar, fuel, sealers, garden chemicals, fluorescent bulbs, all of that. So you can certainly take it up there free of charge during those hours.
Okay, any questions about those? Hearing nothing, that brings us to the end of our agenda. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion by Brad, seconded by Scott. I didn't even hear.
We're all ready.
Whoever. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. Meeting adjourned.